What's up, guys? This is Kephas. So, we are back with more WoW leveling. Should I call it retail WoW now? Because by this point, WoW Classic will have been out and we will be starting a WoW Classic leveling series at some point. So we're going to have multiple instances of WoW leveling happening. So much WoW leveling on this channel, it's going to be exciting. But yeah, so retail WoW leveling, we are back. It's Monday and I'm recording. And this is probably a few weeks before this episode actually airs. So at the time frame of recording this, WoW Classic has not come out yet, but it will be out by the time you guys are seeing this. So yeah. Anyway, I decided that I was going to take this character and, do a few things at the shop. Whoops. Get some bags, actually get epic riding. Finally, I had forgotten I hadn't even picked that up yet. So I went ahead and did all that back in Stormwind. And I thought, we've spent a lot of time in Stranglethorn. Why don't we go to a completely different place? Because, you guys are probably getting burned out on seeing Stranglethorn. And quite frankly, so am I. What is this? Classic leveling? Yeah, when we go through classic leveling, we will probably spend a lot of time in Stranglethorn. But, yeah, so we're going to go to Loch Modan now. Woo, hello there, Twiga. Or Leopard. We're going to go ahead and just kill that guy because we don't want to deal with him. So we're going to do Loch Modan. I've leveled up in this zone many times. I know it very well. I know the story because I did a lore episode on it. And I figured, hey, you know what? It'd be fun. It'd be easy. We can talk about stuff. And, yeah, see how far this gets us. We are level 46. And I imagine we will be in our 50s by the time we get through this entire zone. And who knows where we might end up after that. So, yeah. That's what's up. We're going to keep going. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about Classic coming out, but we'll talk about that later because we've talked about it enough recently. So I've been really getting into Overwatch again. I've come to realize that I really do love a lot of Blizzard games, particularly Warcraft, Diablo from time to time, and then Overwatch. And man, I've forgotten how much I love Overwatch. It is a good game. You know what? We probably should take this one because it's an upgrade, but we'll see if we actually upgrade. Anyway, yeah, I really do love Overwatch. It's been a while since I played it. I really got into Overwatch when it first came out back in, was it 2006? I think it was in May of 2006. I know it was because I was working at the time. I was working in the big city that my town is the outskirts of. I was working in the big city. I sound like a country boy. I kind of am a little bit. And yeah, I was working. It was like I had to take like a 2-hour bus ride to work and then another 2-hour bus ride home. And I was only working 3.5 to 4 hours at a time. So my bus ride was as long as my shift, and it was the city. So no offense to people that live in cities. It wasn't very pleasant, at least not in the city that I was working in. People were very rude, and it was just a horrible experience working at a cafe. My first job ever, and it was, I was happy to have a job at the time, but, man, it was rough going. And I was having a rough time with it. So Overwatch came out, and that game got me through one of the hardest times in my life that year. And recently, speaking, of course, things have gotten so much better since then. But yeah, Overwatch really got me through it because I would go to work. I'd get up in the morning, I'd take my 2-hour ride, and then I would work for 4 hours, and then I'd take another 2-hour ride, and I'd come home, I'd come right in, I'd sit down, and I'd turn on Overwatch, and I'd start playing with my friends, a bunch of AIE folks, and man, those were good times, because even though the job was rough, and it was hard to do it, and just dealing with everything was really difficult. We all go through those times. Overwatch got me through it, man. Overwatch is one of those games that is in the high tier of games that I will look back on fondly because it was there for me when I needed it most. And so, yeah, I have really, really good memories of Overwatch, and it's such a good IP. I mean, I think that Blizzard has got something with Overwatch. Just like they've got something with WoW and, pretty much every IP they've come out with, every new, world that they have ever created has something special. That's for sure. And Overwatch is certainly no exception. As a matter of fact, it might be an exception only in that it might be one of the highest potentials that they've ever come up with. I love that world and the stories that can happen there. I'm really into it, man. I've always been afraid that they'll waste it. No offense to them, but I'm always afraid that like they'll never, it'll never reach its potential because they just won't do anything with it or something. I don't know. Because Overwatch has been out, and Overwatch the game is much fun as it is, and I love the game. I don't want to see it go anywhere, but I feel like as a means for delivering a story, I don't think that Overwatch the game is the best at it, as fun as it is. So I've always been afraid that the story will not be, will not receive the attention that it needs to become something amazing. And I think that it is something great. It's one of those. It's weird because every time I watch an Overwatch short, one of the stories, it gets me all weepy-eyed. I'm not kidding. Like I'll watch even the trailer, the one where they with the Doomfist Gauntlet, and it's like Widowmaker. I don't know if you're into Overwatch or not listening to this, but I'll try to. So like there's a giant monkey named Winston and Tracer, and they're trying to stop two Talon members, which is like the villain faction, from stealing the Doomfist Gauntlet, which is held up in a museum for display, which is kind of stupid. If you're going to have a massively destructive weapon, don't put it in display. Put it away. Lock it up. And have pictures, people to see. Don't put it in a museum. That's always stupid. Anyway, so they stop them from stealing the gauntlet at the time, and it's a really cool cinematic. And then that's when Tracer says the famous line, like one of my favorite lines in any video game ever: "The world could always use more heroes." And that whole thing just gets me all like, choked up a little bit. I don't know if it's just because I have such a deep connection with the game, or just because it's just they just do a good job. They do a good job with story elements, I think. And I think they've got something with Overwatch. I really, you guys know me very well by now. I'm not a big fan of like quote unquote forced. Ooh, we got a rare here. We're going to go ahead and just take him out. I'm not a big fan of like forced diversity. I don't think that diversity solely makes a piece of entertainment better. It doesn't make it worse either, but it doesn't like by default make it better. I think a lot of times, certain pieces of entertainment will think that hey, if we add diversity, then that alone makes it good, and I don't think that's always the case. Having said that, Overwatch does it very well, and I think that diversity is a good thing, and I think that when you create a world where hey, from all walks of life, from all beliefs, from all nations, from all peoples, heroes can exist. And so can villains. I think that's a good message. I think that's a good way to do it. I think that you give attention to all walks of life, and you say, hey, there's good everywhere, right? And I that's kind of an obvious thing to believe, but it's nice to see it done that way without it being like, hey, look at how diverse and woke we are, I think if you want to I think Overwatch does it pretty well. I don't think they've done everything well. I think there have been moments, I don't want to get into it too much, but I think there have been moments where it's been questionable, like are they pandering a little bit, But at the same time, that's only because of the delivery and how certain things were executed. The what they decide to do was fine. It's just sometimes the way they execute certain things, like they just kind of shoehorn certain things in. It's like, okay, I think maybe you're pandering a little bit now. But overall, aside from that, everything is great. I love the characters. Every time I play the game, I'm like, man, this new character is really interesting. And that goes into the gameplay as well. So, aside from the IP, which I could go on and on and on about, hoping for more, there's talk that at BlizzCon, they're going to do some new Overwatch stuff. Maybe a new game. Overwatch 2 has been rumored, so I'm excited for that, man. I hope so. Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, dude, I'll be through the roof. And we haven't even gotten into WoW yet. So, so yeah, I think that the thing is, like, what's crazy about Overwatch the game is, of all the shooters that I've ever played, I've played pretty much everything. Back when GoldenEye came out, I was into that. I played Duke Nukem. I played Doom a little bit. And then of course Halo. I was a big fan of Halo. Never very good at it. Call of Duty, never very good at it. Never really stood a chance against my friends. I was always the worst, always at the bottom of the list. Black Ops 4 came out and I suck. I did okay. The first time I ever did okay at a Call of Duty game was when they added in War Mode in World War II. That was kind of cool. But, you know, games like Fortnite, all these other games, I just can't, man. I can't compete. But Overwatch is the exception. It's the one FPS that does everything so well that I can play. And you know, it's one of those things, if you guys remember, early on in this series, I talked about the controversy. I'm not afraid to get controversial in this series for some reason, so I apologize if we talk about controversy a lot. But, you know, it's the topics of the day. There was a lot of frustration that people had because Sekiro and other Dark Souls games are hard, right? And they were trying to say that a hard game, because it's hard, because it requires so much reaction time and there's not an option to make it easier or slow it down, it's not accessible to people who are disabled. You know, and you know how I am about that. I'm not for forcing people to change their game to appeal to everyone or even appeal to me. I'm not mad that a game like Call of Duty I can't participate in because, you know, I have bad vision and there's nothing you can do without changing the core fundamentals of the game to make it more accessible for me. But with Overwatch, they did it. And the way they did it was not by making the game easier, although you could say that, you know, the hitboxes are pretty big, so it's easier to aim in Overwatch. That's true. I mean, seeing Hanzo alone, you can't deny that it's somewhat true. You still have to have skill. You still have to aim, but at the same time, it is a little bit easier. But that's not, you know, it's not a game that's solely based on just pure shooting. There's more teamwork, strategy, using your abilities, using your characters. It's a lot more than just a shooter. You know, it is a shooter. It's a first-person shooter, but it's more than that, and that's what makes it accessible. Because not only because it's got, you know, cartoony graphics, characters are much easier to see. I mean, when they're in view, they have outlines around them. That's a big help, obviously. It's not a game, again, it's not about not being seen. You know, and then, of course, you've got characters with different abilities. And, you know, you might think, well, you probably play a character that doesn't aim. And, yeah, I used to play Junkrat a lot. You literally do not have to aim hardly at all. You just literally have to point in a certain direction with Junkrat. Same with, like, you know, character like Reaper. You don't really have to aim that much. Mei, you don't have to aim too much unless you're using your L2 or, you know, right click if you're playing with keyboard and mouse. You have to aim a little bit, obviously, with that. There's a treasure chest over here. Weird. But, you know, but I play a lot with Ashe, you know, which is a new character, newer, I guess, new to me. And you don't have to aim, or you have to aim with her. You don't have to aim as much as, like, with Widowmaker, which I have a hard time playing, like, as Widowmaker, because that's some... Ooh, we got a lot of XP just from that treasure chest. Cool. Did we level up? Holy crap, we leveled up and I didn't even realize it. That's how fast you level up. It's just ridiculous. But, like, a character like Ashe, you have to aim down the sights. You have to get good shots at a fair distance. But I love playing as Ashe. I get plays of the games with Ashe all the time. And it's not always with Bob, who is, like, your robot that you send out that shoots for you. I mean, which is awesome, by the way. Bob is cool. But I don't always get plays of the games just with him. He is awesome and he's a big help. But I'm actually able to hold my own with Ashe shooting and able to hit. Because Overwatch has so much going for it that works for me. You know, learning how to use my abilities. Even the sounds in Overwatch are key. Like, I can hear footsteps. Every character has unique footsteps. I know which character is coming around which corner because of the footsteps. I'm able to find people. Like Widowmaker, I'll hunt her down if she's moving around because of her footsteps. I'll know an enemy Widowmaker is around because her gun sounds like literal thunder. Even Hanzo's arrows have a sound to them. So, you know, I'm able to hear these things. And then, you know, when characters use their ultimates, they have quotes that they say to let you know, hey, watch out. You know, if you hear, dang, I can't even think about what he says now because it's escaped me. Oh, if you hear Soldier 76 say, I've got you in my sights, that means get the heck out of the way because the enemy soldier is about to mow you down with his auto aim, you know, and then, you know, I forget what Junkrat says when he uses his tire. I can't believe I can't think of it. But it's like, whenever the enemy says it, he says something very specific, and then you hear the tire roaring, so you know, try to hide, get away from everybody, without actually having to see it. So, the game is perfect for me with audio, and with the way the visuals are, with the way the characters are easy to see, I'm so thankful to actually have a shooter that I can play and do okay in, and get gold medals, and get plays of the game, and feel like I'm not the worst player ever that can't stand a chance. You know, there are moments where, you know, I'll get sniped by a Hanzo, or I won't see somebody that walked past me. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes, you know, like if my wife's watching, she'll be like, up to your right, and I'll be like, oh, thanks. I didn't even see him up there. You know, that does still happen, but it's, even with, I mean, that's something that's always going to be a problem for me. That's just the nature of being visually impaired. But overall, man, I'm able to compete, and I'm so thankful to have a game like Overwatch that I can compete in. You know, so I don't know, like I'm just glad to have a game like that. I could gush about it forever.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button, and feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and if you'd like, you can support this channel on Patreon. Links to all of this can be found in the description below. This is Kephas. Until next time.